Hello, Libra, and let me ask you something powerful. What if today was the exact moment the universe chose to respond to your deepest questions? Not with words, but with signs? This isn't just another zodiac reading. This is a cosmic alignment, a divine appointment between your soul and the message it's been quietly waiting for. And if you've landed here, on this very day, June 1st, then you already know deep inside, it's not a coincidence. At Zodiac Whisper Tarot, we don't just explore horoscopes, we listen to energy. And right now, your energy is radiating a quiet call for clarity, balance, and financial abundance. That's exactly why the card that opened your reading today is the Temperance, a sacred reminder from Spirit that harmony is not the absence of motion, but the art of blending fire and water into purpose. You've always been the sign of equilibrium. But lately, have you felt like your inner scales are tipping too far in one direction, maybe giving too much, or holding in too long? The universe is nudging you gently but clearly today. You are allowed to restore balance, not just for others, but for yourself. And in doing so, you will unlock something much bigger than you imagined. The signs have already begun. Maybe you've seen angel number 444 repeating, or perhaps a butterfly crossed your path at just the right time. Maybe you felt a strange sense that something big is coming, even if you can't explain why. That's not a random feeling. That's alignment. And it's real. Now, let me take a moment to share my heartfelt thanks. For every like, every share, every beautiful comment you leave, and every new subscriber who joins our cosmic circle, thank you. You are helping us keep this sacred space alive. And from the bottom of my heart, I'm honored to read for you today. And believe me, dear Libra, you're going to want to stay with me until the very end of this reading. What's coming isn't just guidance, it's confirmation. It's clarity. And for some of you, it's breakthrough. So let me ask you this before we begin. What quiet sign or dream led you here today? Was it a whisper? A pattern? A person who crossed your mind? Comment it below, and include the number 444 if it's shown up for you, too. Because when heaven speaks, it speaks in repetition. And today, it's calling you. Sometimes, what appears to be a coincidence is really a conversation in motion, a quiet dialogue between the universe and your intuition. That moment when someone mentions a business opportunity right as you were ready to give up, or when the number 444 flashes across a receipt, a license plate, or even a digital clock, these are not random. They are invitations to listen more closely, to become more intentional with your thoughts, and to recognize the patterns that shape your next chapter. For Libra, a sign devoted to harmony and truth, these moments aren't just external signals, they're reflections of a shift occurring deep within. The cards drawn for you, Temperance, Six of Pentacles, and Ace of Swords, carry a message that is as gentle as it is powerful. Temperance asks for integration, not perfection. It calls on you to blend the logic of your mind with the desires of your heart, to make peace with both where you've been and where you're heading. The Six of Pentacles points to divine reciprocity. What you have given, in time, returns to you, sometimes through unexpected channels. And the Ace of Swords arrives like a flash of clarity, the mental breakthrough you've needed to finally take action without second-guessing every step. From a practical perspective, this energy may show up as a sudden financial opportunity, a helping hand from someone you've supported in the past, Or even an idea that seems so obvious now you wonder how you missed it before. But the real transformation begins the moment you claim it. Not just think about it. Not just hope for it. But speak it, write it, act on it, as if it already belongs to you. That is the essence of magnetic manifestation, not waiting passively, but aligning your daily choices with the abundance you seek. And in moments of hesitation, when fear of lack or past disappointment creeps in, remember this gentle wisdom: you were not created to strive endlessly. You were created to receive, to contribute, and to thrive. Not because the world owes you anything, but because your presence here is already a sign that you matter. Even the smallest step, like writing down 3 financial goals for the next 30 days or saying aloud, "I am worthy of abundance rooted in fairness and light," can act as a doorway. The seed of a new beginning doesn't need force to grow, only clarity, consistency, and care. As someone who walks with both reason and intuition, your strength lies in your ability to make clear, compassionate decisions. That includes financial decisions, how you invest, what you accept, and what you're ready to release. You may find that saying no to what drains you is the very thing that makes room for wealth to flow in ways you hadn't expected. Let the color sky blue guide you over the coming days. It resonates with the throat chakra, enhancing your ability to communicate your value and set boundaries that honor your worth. Wear it. Surround yourself with it. Meditate under it. Let it remind you that what you're calling in is not a fantasy, it's a reflection of the truth you're ready to live. And through it all, never forget, the right opportunities don't just show up because you chase them, they arrive when you prepare your inner landscape to receive. Keep showing up with grace, stay honest about what you want, and let your next chapter unfold not from pressure, but from presence. When life begins to feel like it's running on autopilot, when your days blur into routine and your heart longs for something more meaningful, that's often the moment when a deeper question begins to rise. Is this truly aligned with who I am and who I'm becoming? For Libra, a sign so deeply connected to truth, beauty, and fairness, this question isn't a fleeting thought. It's a soul-level inquiry. And the appearance of the Justice card in your reading now isn't random, it's a mirror, showing you where your outer life may no longer reflect your inner values. Justice, in astrology and in tarot, is about clarity, alignment, and sacred accountability. Not punishment. Not judgment. But balance, the kind that liberates, not confines. In this context, it gently urges you to look at where you've compromised too much, settled too soon, or waited too long to honor your deeper truth. The Page of Wands enters next, with the energy of curiosity and potential. It's as if the universe is asking, what if you gave yourself permission to explore something new, even if it's imperfect, uncertain, or wildly exciting? Then comes the King of Cups, emotional maturity in its highest form. It reminds you that bold moves don't require chaos or drama. They require self-trust. Sometimes the most revolutionary thing you can do is make a choice that feels both brave and peaceful at the same time. That kind of strength is not loud. It's anchored. It comes from knowing that faith and action are not opposing forces, they are partners. You don't have to wait until everything is figured out to take the next right step. This is where many people get stuck, especially those, like you, who think deeply and value fairness for all. You want to do what's right. You want to be sure. But sometimes, Being stuck in waiting for the right time is just fear wearing a mask. The truth is, most doors don't open because we have all the answers. They open because we knock. There's a gentle reminder here, one rooted in spiritual wisdom rather than religion, that we are called to walk by faith, not by sight. That doesn't mean ignoring red flags or abandoning discernment. It means choosing to believe that the path becomes visible as you walk it. If you feel the pull to pivot, to apply for that role, to start that project, to speak that truth, don't dismiss it. Your hesitation may simply be a sign that you're stepping into new territory, and that's okay. So, ask yourself, is the work I'm doing honoring my true worth? Not just financially, although that matters too, but energetically. Does it inspire you? Challenge you? Reflect your values? And if not, what small step could you take this week to start bridging the gap between where I am and where I'm meant to be? Let color guide you as you recalibrate. Wearing or surrounding yourself with mauve pinks or soft aquamarine can help sharpen your awareness and support balanced decision-making. These tones are subtle, but powerful, like you. They speak to the Libra nature of grace with conviction. Above all, trust that you are allowed to change, evolve, and move forward without having to justify it to anyone. You are allowed to outgrow roles, relationships, or routines that no longer fit. And you are most certainly allowed to reach for something that feels not just good enough, but truly right. Because you, Libra, are not here to live a life that simply looks balanced. You're here to create a life that feels like justice, from the inside out. It often starts quietly, a subtle shift in the way you feel when someone speaks to you, or a growing awareness that your energy no longer dances in rhythm with theirs. For Libra, a sign that thrives on connection, mutual understanding, and beauty in all its forms, these moments of realization can feel like small heartbreaks. But they're not signs of failure. They are invitations to realignment. The presence of the Two of Cups, Queen of Swords, and Knight of Cups in your reading today suggests that you're standing at the intersection of truth and tenderness, where love, if it is to grow, must be honest as well as kind. The Two of Cups shows that love, in its most sacred form, is a reflection, a mutual exchange of vulnerability and respect. But it must be reciprocal. Not earned through silence, or maintained by self-sacrifice. True harmony doesn't require you to lose your voice. It asks you to use it, to name your needs, to speak your truth, and to trust that the right people will stay not because you bend, but because you stand in your authenticity. That's where the Queen of Swords enters, not as a cold figure, but as a guardian of clarity. She's here to remind you that discernment is not the opposite of love. It is an extension of it. Setting boundaries doesn't mean you've given up on people. It means you've chosen to honor both your growth and theirs. And often, the most loving thing you can do is to stop enabling patterns that keep everyone small. Her message is clear: compassion without clarity creates imbalance. And you, dear Libra, are being called back to equilibrium. Then comes the Knight of Cups, offering you an image of love that's poetic, idealistic, and brave. This isn't just about romantic gestures or sweet words. It's about the courage to believe in love again, to open your heart, not recklessly, but wisely. You're not being asked to harden. You're being invited to soften with wisdom. And that's something only those who have loved deeply and healed honestly can truly do. Maybe you've been carrying the weight of a connection that once made you feel seen but now makes you feel small. Or perhaps you've given so much of your emotional energy to holding the peace that you forgot to ask, does this relationship nourish me, too? These questions aren't selfish. They're sacred. Because the kind of love that God, or the divine principle of love itself, wants for you is not one that requires diminishing yourself. It's a love rooted in truth, in freedom, and in peace, not in anxiety, performance, or fear of being abandoned. If someone has caused you pain in the past, writing them a letter, even one you never send, can be a powerful way to release that energy. Not for their forgiveness, but for your freedom. And as you do, surround yourself with gentle symbols of healing, rose quartz to open the heart again, or opal to bring in clarity and hope. Let yourself remember that healing isn't about forgetting what happened. It's about remembering who you are underneath the layers of protection you've built to survive. You are allowed to change your mind about what you need in a relationship. You are allowed to say no to what no longer feels right, even if it once did. You are allowed to let people go, not with resentment, but with peace. Because when you make room for the kind of connection that meets you with equal presence, equal depth, and equal care, you're not just honoring your sign. You're honoring your soul. There comes a point where even the most graceful hearts need stillness. Not as an escape, but as a return. After spending so much time balancing others' needs, smoothing tension, and offering your light where it was needed, it's easy to forget that your own flame also deserves tending. In your reading, the appearance of the Four of Swords, the Moon, and the Empress is not a coincidence. It's a loving invitation from life itself to step back, breathe deeper, and listen to what your body and spirit have been softly whispering all along. The Four of Swords represents sacred rest. Not just sleep, but intentional stillness, the kind of pause that allows clarity to rise, where once there was only noise. For someone like Libra, whose energy naturally flows toward harmony and connection, taking time to retreat can feel unfamiliar, even uncomfortable. But it is in this retreat that recalibration begins. Just as a string instrument needs silence between notes to create music, your nervous system needs space between efforts to restore its rhythm. The moon, in this sequence, brings with it a softness cloaked in mystery. It asks you not to rush clarity, but to trust the process of gentle unfolding. Not everything will make sense right away, and that's okay. Healing doesn't happen on a schedule. Some days you'll feel strong, others, you'll need the quiet of your own presence. The moon reminds you to honor both, and to allow your emotional tides to move freely, without judgment. Then comes the Empress, the embodiment of nourishment, beauty, and grounded femininity. She reminds you that receiving is not weakness. It is wisdom. To receive care, love, silence, and comfort is not selfish, it is essential. Just as the earth does not apologize for requiring rain, you do not need to justify your need for rest or softness. Your worth is not measured by how much you produce or how well you perform. It is inherent, and like the Empress, it blossoms most fully in fertile, rested soil. In more practical terms, your body may be asking for rituals of care. You might start with something simple, a cup of chamomile tea before bed to calm your heart, or dimming the lights and stepping away from screens an hour before sleep. Let music be your medicine, too. Frequencies like 432 Hz are known to soothe the heart space and ease overthinking. These aren't indulgences, They are tools of restoration. Think of your environment as a mirror of your inner world. Surround yourself with soft, calming colors, creamy whites, pastel blues, or gentle rose-tinted candlelight, to signal to your mind and heart that it's safe to relax. Small changes in your physical space can help invite in the emotional safety that deeper healing requires. And when doubt sneaks in, the kind that tells you rest is lazy or unproductive, remember that even the highest wisdom teaches us that everything has its season. Even in sacred texts, there's a quiet encouragement to be still and trust. Not every moment needs to be filled. Not every silence must be broken. The beauty of a well-lived life is not in constant motion, but in knowing when to move, and when to be still enough to listen. This chapter of your journey isn't about proving anything. It's about reconnecting with the rhythm of your own breath, your own body, your own truth. You don't need to shout to heal. You only need to allow the quiet to do its work. Because peace, when invited gently, can do what force never could. It can restore you. Change rarely announces itself with certainty. More often, it begins with a quiet sense that something old no longer fits and something new is calling your name. The cards drawn for this phase of your journey, the Wheel of Fortune, the World, and Nine of Cups, weave together a story not of chance, but of divine timing, readiness, and emotional fulfillment finally taking form. These energies speak directly to your soul's expansion. They suggest that while a door has indeed closed, it did so to prepare the space for a new threshold, one that leads to deeper alignment, more meaningful joy, and a version of yourself that is no longer fragmented, but whole. The Wheel of Fortune teaches us that life moves in cycles. What once felt like waiting or stagnation was not a delay in your destiny, it was preparation for the right alignment. The wheel doesn't turn at our command. It turns when the time is right, when our hearts are open enough to receive what we were too burdened or distracted to recognize before. This card is not just about external luck, it's about inner readiness. And you, right now, are more ready than you realize. Then, the world steps in, the completion of a cycle. It's the moment when everything you've learned, endured, forgiven, and chosen becomes part of a larger picture. You are no longer chasing parts of yourself. You are becoming the bridge between where you've been and where you're destined to go. And the most beautiful part is that you're not being asked to abandon who you've been. You're being invited to carry the wisdom of that version of you into a more integrated, free, and empowered life. The World card is your reminder that endings are not failures. They're fulfillments, sacred completions that open space for creation. And at the heart of it all, the Nine of Cups offers a quiet smile. Often called the wish card, it doesn't promise magic without effort, but it does signal that your inner desires, the ones you've whispered in prayer or held tightly in your heart, are drawing near. This is the moment to acknowledge how far you've come, not just in achievements, but in the healing and growing you've done behind the scenes. The things you've let go of, the risks you've taken, the self-worth you've chosen to reclaim, they are all ingredients of the fulfillment now manifesting around you. Sometimes, we think that reaching a goal means we need to hustle harder or prove ourselves again. But there's another way. One rooted in spiritual truth, that when you align with what's true, what's meant for you doesn't need to be chased, it recognizes you. This is not about forcing a breakthrough. It's about becoming the kind of person who can receive one with grace, gratitude, and intention. You can begin anchoring this shift through simple but sacred practices. Writing down 9 things you've been truly grateful for in the past week, even the small ones, helps your energy recalibrate to joy. Sharing your vision, whether through a journal entry, a photo, or a conversation, is not just expressive, it's a declaration. It's a way of saying to life, I am ready. Let this be the season where you allow yourself to expand beyond the script others have written for you. Don't shrink to fit old versions of yourself just because they feel familiar. You are being gently but firmly guided into a more elevated chapter, one where your joy no longer comes second, and your inner voice is no longer quieted for the comfort of others. That guidance, that wisdom, is not only within you. It's around you, opening doors you've long been waiting to walk through. And when the moment feels too big, or doubt tries to return, remember the promise. You are not being brought this far to be abandoned. You are not standing here by accident. You are at the edge of your own expansion, and what's waiting on the other side of this doorway is not just a dream, it's the reward of your becoming. If you're still here with me, still reading, still listening, then I know something inside you is shifting. Not because of what I've said, but because your soul recognizes a truth it has always known. As a Libra, you don't just long for beauty, you long for meaningful beauty. You don't just want peace, you want authentic harmony. And more than anything, you want your outer world to reflect the rich inner balance you've worked so hard to cultivate. The message that's come through today isn't just about attracting wealth or reaching some perfect version of your life. It's about remembering that abundance is not extravagance, it's alignment. It's the quiet confidence that comes from living in tune with your values, making choices that honor your well-being, and trusting that what's meant for you will never require you to betray your truth to receive it. You don't need to exhaust yourself proving you deserve good things. You don't have to dim your light just to avoid disrupting someone else's shadow. You are allowed to desire more ease, more connection, more fulfillment, not because you're ungrateful, but because your soul is evolving. And every step you've taken to reconnect with yourself, to heal, to forgive, to let go, it has not gone unnoticed. So I'll ask you now, what are you ready to receive, if you truly believed it was already on its way? What parts of yourself are you ready to reclaim, now that you understand you no longer need to carry the weight of everyone else's expectations? What does it look like for you to feel wealthy, in peace, in purpose, in love? I want to gently challenge you to take the wisdom from today's reading and turn it into movement. Don't just nod in agreement, act. Write down the 9 things you're grateful for. Revisit your vision board. Share your truth with someone who deserves to hear it. And most of all, listen to your own voice louder than the noise outside you. Your energy matters. Your balance matters. And the moment you give yourself permission to stop waiting for validation and start creating from the inside out, that's when abundance begins to find you. Not in a rush. Not in a flood. But in a calm, certain flow that was always meant for you. If today's message resonated with you, let yourself anchor that intention by commenting below with the words, I align with abundance. That one sentence can be your starting point. A declaration. A promise. A prayer. Thank you for spending this time with me and for trusting Zodiac Whisper Tarot to walk this path beside you. Your support, every like, every comment, every share, means more than you know. It fuels this space, and it ensures that we can continue sending these soul-guided messages to those who need them most. And remember, Libra, the life you're calling in doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. It just has to be true. Stay with that truth. And watch what happens next.